In this video, we will be talking about the construction process and the roles and responsibilities of the team players in the construction industry. A client intends to build a bungalow on a slightly sloping terrain which is located in Subang Jaya. The local authority is the Subang Jaya Municipal Council, MPSJ. The building has a built-up area of 5,713 square feet and is 3-story high. It requires a Balinese-style interior design with water feature. Structural retaining walls are required to create usable space out of the sloping terrain and achieve gold rating in the Green Building Index. In the construction process, there are a total of 5 phases, which are schematic design, design development, contract documentation, contract implementation and management, and finally, final completion. Team players involved in the construction process are the architect, who needs to be proficient in design, quantity surveyor with good financial and numeracy management skills, the town planner for problem solving and analytical skills, the civil and structural engineer with technical skills, mechanical and electrical engineer for precise and methodical working, contract and subcontractor to be able to cooperate efficiently, the green building specialist to advise and provide guidance to the councillors, and the land surveyor with observational and numeracy skill, and finally, interior designer and landscape architect to have creative thinking skills. We now entered phase 1, schematic design.
In stage 1.1, site analysis is carried out first, where the land surveyor assists the architect in site surveying, site measurement, and documentation of site conditions. The land surveyor determines current site conditions for future above-ground infrastructure. He reports documents based on the sloping site and establishes the accurate location of proposed structures, accesses, pipelines, buildings, and other improvements. He would then prepare plans and maps, files, databases, and reports together with models and charts for the consultants' further use.
Stage 1.2 is where conceptual design is carried out. The architect analyzes the client's brief and produces a conceptual sketch proposal which includes sketch modeling, 3D modeling, and building information modeling. He is also assisted by the interior designer, who is in charge of creating a Balinese-style interior and developing conceptual mood boards for texture, material finishings, and furniture.
The architect then assists the town planner with planning design considerations such as density, height restriction, building setbacks, green area, and also it obeys the 5-year development plan of MPSJ for Subang Jaya planning policies. The development proposal plan is prepared and submitted for planning permission by MPSJ based on the Town and Country Planning Act 1976. The quantity surveyor then prepares preliminary cost estimates and cost plans for the development project and ensures that everything is within the budget.
Meanwhile, M&E engineer applies the utilities from the respective departments such as electricity from the Tenaga Nasional Berhad, water from Syabas, and telecommunications from SKMN or MCMC.
The local authority, MPSJ, provides sewage services and regulates drainage system through Indah Water Consortium.
The CNS engineer is in charge of the location placement of both above ground and underground of structural requirement and infrastructure installation on the sloping side. Next, he checks the architecture configuration and finalizes the structural system and types that suit the buildings.
In stage 1.3, design proposal is carried out. Development order drawings are prepared and reviewed by the consultants, which is to be submitted to MPSJ, who grants or refuses planning permission for the building. It consists of building height restrictions, building setbacks, architectural layouts, drawings and perspective, and the KM or LCP report.
The CNS engineer will then design and complete the structural plans, lot report of buildings, infrastructure, and street lighting for the building. The completed works are then submitted to MPSJ for their approval on the documents.
The interior designer first plans the spaces, designs furniture layouts and adds circulation patterns and minimum clearances to the floor plan. After that, rough sketches and elevations are created and Balinese-style preliminary furniture is chosen. Finally, finished ideas are presented to the client for review and revision. For Balinese-style interior design, materials and plants are natural and locally sourced. Furniture is made from timber or rattan or covered with a natural fabric. A natural ventilation system is made with large windows to allow airflow. The floor covering is made out of materials such as teak wood and coconut wood. The rug is made from sisal and natural fiber, and there are many walls in the Balinese-style building to provide privacy and protection.
The green building consultant will review all the design drawings made by the consultants, working closely with them to incorporate the sustainability concept into their design ideas through database computer-aided simulation results. She likewise ensures that the building follows the assessment criteria of Green Building Index, which includes energy efficiency, indoor environmental quality, sustainable site planning and environment, environmental friendly materials and resources, water efficiency and innovation. In order to achieve a gold rating in GBI, the building has to achieve 76 to 85 points in GBI.
The consultants will then comment on the drawings. After that, the quantity surveyor will proceed to evaluate the client's budget and tally it with the overall design prepared by the architect and other consultants. Stage 1.4 is the client and development order. Meeting is conducted with the client by the architect to discuss the budget with the preliminary design. Architect and other consultants will then make amendments until the overall design satisfies the client needs and preference. The development order drawings are now completed and can be submitted by the town planner to obtain approval from the local authority and PSJ. We shall now move on to Phase 2, the design development. Stage 2.1 is where drawings are prepared. While the submitted DO drawings are waiting for approval, the architect and other consultants translates design proposal by preparing building plan drawings and specific detailed drawings. The architect and interior designer will revise the plans with more elaborations. Materials and textures are listed down for drawing documentation.
The interior designer develops floor plans, elevations and other items in greater detail. Next, colors and finishes are refined and furniture, fabrics, equipment are selected. Finally, the resulting design is presented to the client for review, revision and final approval.
The architect ensures that the architectural design and drawings compiles with the building codes. Elaborated drawings are then distributed to the other consultants for further detailing according to their respective work scope.
On the other hand, the CNS engineer will consult a geotechnical consultant for soil investigation report to finalize the type and depth of foundation needed for the bungalow, and then proceeds to produce civil and structural drawings of the bungalow based on geotechnicalities such as structural retaining walls.
The M&E engineer is in charge of the connection to utilities.
As the drawings are prepared, the green building consultant advises on the other consultants to ensure the building brings sustainability and reaches gold rating on GBI with the material used.
The architects and other consultants' drawings and detailings are then passed on to the quantity surveyor to draft out the overall cost estimation to tally with the given budget, which is around 2.2 million ringgit. Specifications of materials are obtained from other parties and suppliers are scouted with the best price. In stage 2.2, client approval is needed. With the completed drawings and a set of preliminary cost estimation, a client consultant meeting is held with the client by the architect. The client consultant meeting consists of updating project progress and the progress of the other consultant's job. Aspects such as the status of design and building plan drawings are also discussed. Amendments and cost adjustments are made until an agreement is made between the client and the architect. In stage 2.3, building plan submission is carried out. Upon approval from the client, the building plan drawings are submitted to MPSJ to obtain building approval based on the Uniform Building Bylaws. Another client consultant meeting is arranged among the architect and local authorities with the purpose of inspecting building plan drawings, detailings, and specifications, while also advising on what is needed to be improved for quick approval. After all that is done, the architect prepares project planning and implementation schedule in a Gantt chart. Entering the third phase, contract documentation. Documentation management is carried out where the architect prepares tender drawings with detailed specifications such as sanitary ware and ironmongery.
The interior designer documents the specific details of the work to be completed, such as millwork specifications, finishing selections such as flooring and paint, lighting plans and fixture selections, plumbing location and fixture selections, and electrical layouts.
The landscape architect comes in late in this stage because his main work is dealing with the landscape of the bungalow. Generally, landscape architect creates graphic representations of landscape plans, specializes in planning and designing open spaces, and produces pleasant places that are environmentally friendly and sustainable. The landscape architect continues with designing landscaping elements using landscape plans, renders, and typical material palettes according to the client's satisfaction.
The quantity surveyor prepares and formalizes a contract document based on the tender drawings that consists of the bills of quantities, contract drawings, award letter, memorandum of agreement, and condition of contract. He also manages the tender drawings by advising on procurement, tendering, contractual procedures, and management. The tender process is then carried out by the quantity surveyor and architect. An invitation in the form of contract documentations are sent out to interested contractors who then offer their quotation or tender back to the consultants.
The GBI consultant comes in to provide recommendation to select contractors who are capable of delivering sustainability to the architect and quantity surveyor.
The consultants will evaluate the received tenders and recommend a contractor to the client. The client shall award contracts to the contractors with the best value in price and qualification. An arrangement is made where the architect acts as the contract administrator to the client and awarded contractor for signing off the building contract. Proceeding into Phase 4, Contract Implementation and Management. After awarding of contracts, the consultant prepares construction drawings. After it's completed, the contractor provides subcontractors with the drawings and schedules that includes project milestones with initial starts and finishing dates.
The contractor then applies for a Robin from NPSJ for construction waste disposal and PPS-PPA to handle with the disposal of domestic waste from the bungalow.
The landscape architect will now translate the design proposal into landscape plan drawings and specific detail drawings. Landscaping materials and textures are listed down. To design Balinese-style garden, the landscape is decorated with tropical decorative plants to accentuate the relationship between man and nature. To deal with the sloping side, landscape architect plans to plant deep-rooted shrubs to provide underground slope stability, and the shrub should remain short so that it does not interfere with the view. Drought-resistant trees are also used to bind soil and rocks together and control soil erosion.
The contractor and subcontractor develop a health and safety manual to safeguard the public and employees. Protective hoarding is constructed around the site to protect the public from dangers before construction works begin.
The General Director of the Department of Occupational Safety and Health will assign a technical committee to ensure the public is protected from hazards associated with construction work, according to the guideline for public safety and health at construction site. The Construction Safety and Health Officer from SCHEMATIC assess the health and safety practice carried out by the main contractor at the construction site. SCHEMATIC utilizes three components for assessment, which are document checking, site or workplace inspection, and employee interviews.
The land surveyor sets up the boundary lines on site before construction works begins.
The contractor discusses and coordinates with the consultants regarding site issues. He too manages the overall construction activities while the consultants carry out interval site visits to ensure works are executed in accordance with the building contract and construction drawings. He then hires a site safety supervisor to monitor the safety of construction activities within the site.
The C&S engineer takes charge of the required structural design. The first design is the cantilever retaining wall. It works on the principle of leverage and the use of reinforced concrete. It has a much thinner stem and the weight of the backfill soil is utilized to provide most of the resistance to sliding and overturning in order to prevent landslide and soil erosion. Next, the second structural design is end-bearing piling. The bottom end of the pile rests on a layer of especially strong soil or rock. The load of building is transferred through the pile onto the strong layer. Therefore, the pile acts like a column. The key principle is that the bottom end rests on the surface, which is the intersection of a weak and strong layer. Thirdly, the step foundation. This type of foundation is the most economical solution to construct a foundation on a sloping site. It takes the form of a series of concrete horizontal steps following the slope of the ground. This helps to minimize the amount of excavation and below ground wall construction that would otherwise be required. Regularly stepping foundation also avoids abrupt and excessive changes in level that could cause a weakness resulting in movement. Lastly, the drainage establishment. If the drainage system is downhill, the flow of sewage to the sewers needs to be slowed down. The C&S engineer will investigate subways and drainage channels to ensure that the surface water is dealt with correctly and doesn't end up flooding the lower floor or the surrounding area. Bad drainage establishment may cause soil erosion and is dangerous to the bungalow.
The contractor and subcontractors will then carry out these structure designs into reality.
Structural and material engineering from ICRAM provides forensic and assessment consultancy and testing services to check on the structural condition and adequacy of existing structure at the sloping site, carry out visual examination of the existing structure framing, assessment of the probable causes of any observed damages, and field measurement and testing to ensure the construction of building at sloping site is safe.
M&E engineer supervises subcontractors responsible for all the electrical works and is in charge of the installations of the electrical system. He ensures that all equipment is erected, pre-commissioned, tested, and commissioned.
The green building consultant in this phase reviews the contractor's submittals and does a periodic check on construction works to ensure that sustainability is carried out. The material procurement list is frequently updated and reviewed by the green building consultant, and deviations are reported to the client if there are any.
Site meetings are held periodically with all involved parties to update the client on the subcontractor's work progress. The contractor makes a construction progress report to submit to the architect. It will be passed on to the client once satisfied. During construction, the contractor submits interim claims based on percentage completed to the architect and quantity surveyor who will assess the claims. After the assessment, the architect and quantity surveyor then gives recommendations to the client who pays the contractor. Phase 5, the final completion. The architect will arrange for the authorities to be present on site to conduct inspection for local authorities' approval.
Utilities are examined and tested. TNB conducts performance on electrical installation. Shabas conduct water pumps inspection, and Indah Water conduct assessments on the sewage system.
The green building consultant now submit for completion and verification assessment (CVA). A GBI certifier would then rate and certify the building with the score it achieved.
Construction works for the bungalow are now completed, as well as final inspections and confirmations are acquired from all parties. Approval for the 21G forms are made by all parties involved in their respective scope of work. Then, the architect issues the Certificate of Completion and Compliance. When the certificate is approved and received, the architect certifies and submits the as-built drawings, maintenance manuals and warranties to the client. During post-construction, the architect and interior designer will conduct a round of inspection of the building. Defects are identified within the defects liability period. However, the contractor and subcontractor should rectify any defects and make alignments prior to the architect's comments.
The landscape architect ensures that softscapes are well maintained and defects are made good and replaced.
The architect then issues the certificate of making goods defects to the subcontractors after defects are rectified. This signifies that all works are officially completed. The quantity surveyor and contractor will then assist the architect in preparing a final account that indicates the overall costing and submitted to the client. Payment is then processed to the contractor and subcontractors. Finally, the architect issues the final certificate of payment to the contractor. In conclusion, the civil and structural engineer plays a crucial role in this scenario. He has to deal with structural requirements, infrastructure installations, checking with architecture configurations, and finalizing the structural systems and types, all planned out with extra care as the bungalow stands upon a sloping side. Other consultants likewise has to fulfill the requirements of the client. The interior designer and landscape architect work closely together to design a Balinese-style bungalow. Meanwhile, the green building consultant has to work with other consultants to design an environmental friendly bungalow to achieve gold rating in GPI. Conclusively, we understand that it is important to take off essential stages to make a building project a success. Team players should have a thorough understanding of the phases in the construction process in order to be aware of their roles and responsibilities to successfully pull off the project. Designing the building is just a small part out of the big picture, and it involves many parties in the whole construction process. A development project requires a lot of approvals and documentation. It is important to have good communication between the team players and the client to avoid conflicts from arising. Nevertheless, it is most important that all team players work together to ensure that any building constructed is safe and fit for occupancy to not cost any lives. Thank you for watching.